Okay, so I've got the machine here stable at 95 degrees C, so the controller will hold it here within usually within better than plus minus 0.1 degrees C. But anyways, I'm just going to walk through quickly all the user settings. So the user settings are accessed with the rotary dial. You can rotate through them all here. You see them on the bottom of the screen. So I'll just go through each one to start. Again, brew set point, fairly self-explanatory. What you want to brew your espresso at. All these settings are changed by pushing on the rotary encoder. Then you can change the setting within here and push it again to save the new setting. Push it again to save the new setting. And it'll save that in memory and update it automatically as well. So you get your steam set point, brew timer toggle, again, which if you want to have your brew really dialed in, you can choose to have like, so for example, at 30 seconds you can have it shut off automatically. I don't use it, but it's there if anybody does want it. Again, this is for the brew timer, so related to for example, like we said, if you wanted to have this say at 30 seconds, you can set it at 30 seconds. But again, you have to have the toggle on for that to be effective. Pre-infusion, this is something I like personally. I like to use it for some of my roasts. So pre-infusion toggle, right now it's off, but let's turn this on. Then for pre-infusion, you have the toggles that says we want to have the pre-infusion feature used. So there's a pre-infusion on timer, so that's basically how long we're going to run the pump for. Again, we don't want to run it too long to pressure up the portafilter. You want it long enough to get enough water in. So right now I have that at 1 second, which seems to work. I'm still playing with it a bit. We'll leave that at 1 second. The second one is pre-infusion delay. So after you have the water in the portafilter, how long do you want it to sit there for? Right now I have it at 5 seconds. Again, still playing with it. And before I'll do an example, I'll run a shot with the pre-infusion here. But first, just to finish off the settings, there's the RTD offset. That's something, again, on the website I've got a bit more explanation. But before you start using this, you should do a check to see. Fortunately for mine, it was bang on, which usually I have a little bit of offset for RTDs, but this one was this whole setup seemed to be bang on, so I have no offset currently. The auto off timer, that's something I like because I do forget the machine on once in a while. So I've got it at 2 hours right now. Again, but you can select anything from half an hour to 4 hours, or if you don't want to use this, you can disable it. But for me, I like having it around an hour and a half or 2 hours, just so that if I go to work in the morning, I forget it. I know it'll at least shut off. And then there's also, finally, the last three settings are the 3 PID settings. These, if you don't like the way it controls, again, you've got the flexibility to go in and play with these. But just to finish things off, then I'll go ahead and run a shot just to show you how that pre-infusion setting works. So just excuse me here while I prep the portafilter. Okay, so when I turn it on here, you'll notice the pump will run, it'll shut off for the delay that we set, and then it'll turn on again to run the main shot. You can see it says pre-infusion on the screen where the timer is. And then the timer starts running when we actually start pulling our shot. you see, as expected, I mean, when you've got the cold water coming in, you will have your boiler temp drop. For me, it usually drops, depending on how quick the shot's being pulled, it'll drop anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees C. And then it'll, again, the PID, the way it's set up right now, if you notice the light was on, so it tries to maintain that 95. One of the side effects of that, so it does help maintain that temperature during your brew, but one of the side effects is it does tend to overshoot here upon stopping the shot. So again, you can see here it'll probably overshoot here to probably 98 degrees. So anyways, if you're pulling multiple shots, what I do is I just run the hot water to get it down to about 85 degrees C, and just let it ramp back up, and that I find that the quickest way to get it back up to 95. Of course, you can play with the PID settings as well, but just to show you, excuse my arm if it gets in the way here, but just to show you here. Oh, I ran that down more than I needed to, but if you do run hot water, just run it through. And the reason this helps is because it's just the way the tuning's set up. Is if you get it to that 85, it's just the way the tuning's set up. So this should ramp up fairly quick, but it'll probably still see it overshoot a little bit here, but it'll settle out at 95 a lot quicker than if we had left it up at the original overshoot. Well, I won't drag this out to see the kind of settle out fully, but you can see there it's coming in again. It's coming in quite nicely there. I'm back up to 95, so it may overshoot by like 0.2 to 0.5 degrees there still, kind of as it does upon startup, but it'll settle in at 95 there fairly quick. One other thing I should point out there is the as you probably saw it, but right now that kind of that ready flag on the screen is set up right now, and that plus minus 0.5 degrees C, so it's just a bit of a visual aid. Anyways, that's the video, and yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully that helped give a quick overview of the controller.